It's time to return to the post-apocalyptic world of Zombieland, a desolate new world full of bloodthirsty zombies who want to infect everyone else and turn them into zombies. Yeah, as we all know, zombies are kind of dicks like that. Where we follow the misadventures of Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock as they travel across country while fighting off zombies and visiting Bill Murray in a road trip to find a zombie-free sanctuary with plenty of comical hijinks and zombie splattering goodness along the way. I think Zombieland is one of those movies where pretty much everyone can love it. I don't think I've actually ever heard anyone say they don't like it. It's a crowd pleaser that unites us all over the love of zombie carnage. So let's double tap and check out 10 things that you didn't know about Zombieland. Number 10. Zombieland was originally going to be a TV show. Zombieland was the creation of writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, both of whom would incidentally go on to write the Deadpool movie. They began working on Zombieland in 2005, but before it became a movie, Zombieland was structured to be a TV pilot. During the production of this hour-long Zombieland TV pilot, the number one choice for director was John Carpenter, aka the guy who gave us Halloween, and he supposedly was interested and loved the concept. However, the idea of Zombieland being a potential TV series was dropped, with the focus now being a theatrical movie, and when that happened, Carpenter lost interest. Number 9. Inspiration from another zombie comedy. Now, after Zombieland failed to take form as a TV series, director Ruben Fleischer came on board to work with Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick to help structure Zombieland into a feature film, with Sony Pictures backing the production. Fleischer would go on to say that something that really motivated him to work on Zombieland was fellow zombie comedy Shaun of the Dead, which was released a few years earlier in 2004 and was itself a massive success. Now, there are several differences between the early script and final film. For example, the famous celebrity our band of characters visit isn't Bill Murray, but Patrick Swayze, with him being depicted as a dancing zombie. And it even had a ghost pottery reference. That could have been funny. And the characters had different names. Columbus was called Flagstaff, Tallahassee was called Albuquerque, Little Rock was Stillwater, and Wichita was, well, Wichita. Yep, Wichita was always going to be Wichita. Man, I just said a whole heap of Wichita. Number 8. Original casting choices. Now, one thing that I think really elevates Zombieland is its cast, and how they just work off each other perfectly, and they all have amazing chemistry. The performances and how they play off each other take Zombieland from something that was a fun zombie comedy into being a stellar one. The cast includes Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee, Emma Stone as Wichita, Jesse Eisenberg as Columbus, and Abigail Breslin as Little Rock. However, the original choice for Columbus was Jamie Bell, who was actually cast but then dropped out, as well as Taylor Lautner, but he was unavailable. But as we all know, eventually Eisenberg got the part. The first choices for Wichita were Megan Fox and Evan Rachel Wood. In fact, before being cast as Wichita, Emma Stone was originally being sought after to play the first zombie we see at the start of the movie, but that part ended up being played by Amber Heard. I wonder if she left any surprises on the bed. Woody Harrelson had some terms and conditions for starring in Zombieland. 1. The movie's sets were to be environmentally friendly, and 2. The movie's director, Ruben Fleischer, had to give up dairy products for a week. Okay, I'm guessing there is some kind of backstory to that term and condition. Who knows, maybe Fleischer kept nibbling on cheese all the time and it really annoyed Harrelson. Number 7. Bill Murray got involved thanks to Woody Harrelson. So as mentioned, the actor originally considered for the part of the Hollywood celebrity featured in Zombieland was Patrick Swayze, but he couldn't star at the time due to ill health, and unfortunately he died 2 years later. Other famous faces considered for the famous cameo include Kevin Bacon, Sylvester Stallone, Joe Pesci, Dwayne Johnson, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Supposedly, an undisclosed actor was cast in the part but bailed out. But thankfully, Woody Harrelson was around and was like, hey, leave it to me, I got this. So he made some calls and was able to get Bill Murray. Now, having Bill Murray in Zombieland is perfect, as Zombieland is a horror comedy, and Murray starred in the mother of all horror comedies, Ghostbusters. And I think the idea alone of being in a zombie apocalypse and seeing what Bill Murray is up to is itself comedy gold. Because I'll have to admit, I've never seen a zombie horror movie and thought to myself, I wonder what Bill Murray is doing during all of this. And his death scene is both brilliantly tragic and funny at the same time, which is not an easy feat to achieve.
So do you have any regrets?
Garfield, maybe?
I'm sorry, it just gets me.
Number 6. Twinkies are not vegan friendly. Despite being set in Los Angeles, most of the filming took place around Georgia, with the movie's shoot lasting 41 days. During the shoot, the filming had to be put on hold for 1 day, as Woody Harrelson was arrested for being in possession of the old wacky tobacco. You know, the old smoky smoke, that's a bit naughty. Also during the filming, actress Abigail Breslin had her 13th birthday, where as a present for herself, she adopted a shelter puppy. And according to digitalspy.com, that very puppy was used in the Tallahassee flashback scene. According to MovieWeb, the now famous line,
"Time to nut up or shut up,"
almost didn't make it in the movie, as director Ruben Fleischer found it to be cheesy, but thankfully it wasn't cut. Now, a major character aspect of Tallahassee is that he has an obsession with Twinkies and wanted more than anything to find a Twinkie within the zombie apocalypse. Well, in real life, this couldn't be further from the truth, as Harrelson doesn't eat Twinkies as he's a vegan, and apparently Twinkies contain beef fat and eggs. But when we do eventually see him munching away on a Twinkie in Zombieland, it was actually a Twinkie made out of cornmeal. And all the blood seen in Zombieland was entirely CGI blood that was added in post once the filming wrapped up. Just a side note, we actually don't have Twinkies here in Australia. The first time I ever saw a Twinkie was in Ghostbusters, in that scene where Harold Ramis held one up. And I can remember watching that scene as a kid, and my 5-year-old self was thinking, why is Egon eating a sponge? Number 5. Not going to Disneyland. Another major plot point in the movie is that Wichita and Little Rock are heading to a theme park called Pacific Playland, due to rumours of it being zombie-free, and also to relive the innocence of joy before the zombie apocalypse happened. However, according to IMDb, originally the sisters' goal was to reach the real-life theme park of Disneyland. Now, I'm guessing the production would have needed Disney's permission, and they probably weren't keen on the idea of bloodthirsty zombies roaming in their theme park, as well as all the violence that ensues. So a made-up theme park was created in the form of Pacific Playland, and most of the scenes of the fictional park were filmed at a real theme park called Wild Adventures, located in Valdosta, Georgia. Also, according to IMDb, the original title of Zombieland was Another Day in Zombieland, a comical take on the saying Another Day in Paradise. But the studio were worried that with a title like Another Day in Zombieland, people may think that the movie was a sequel to a movie that they've never heard of before, and thus probably won't see it. So the movie simply became Zombieland. And on a side note, a character flaw of Columbus is that he's afraid of clowns. Well, in real life, Jesse Eisenberg's mother had worked as a clown for children's parties. Number 4. Deleted scenes. So of course, as with every other movie, there is material that didn't make it into the final film, including an alternative rule number 2, one that isn't double tap, but to use Ziploc bags. Okay, now admittedly, double tap sounds a lot cooler than, well, Ziploc bags. There's more of an aftermath when Columbus kills his 406 neighbor, in which he's trying to come to grips with what on earth just happened and how, as well as wrapping the neighbor up with a shower curtain. There's a brief flashback scene of Columbus and Tallahassee in the normal world before it was zombified, where they are honestly both really clumsy. There are more scenes of Wichita and Little Rock having fun at the carnival theme park, I guess showing just how much they miss the simple joys of the world before the apocalypse. Look, I don't exactly love these scenes. They didn't make me think, oh my god, Zombieland really needed them. Oh god. But they are still interesting to see. And yes, thanks to the presence of Guitar Hero, this was definitely the late 2000s. I mean, gee, the last time I played that, I think I had hair. Number 3. Woody Harrelson thought that a photographer was a real-life zombie. Shortly after filming Zombieland, Woody Harrelson found himself in hot water, as he had to face something truly more terrifying than a bloodthirsty zombie. A bloodthirsty TMZ photographer. Okay, so one night Harrelson and his daughter flew into a New York airport, where the TMZ photographer approached him, to which Harrelson pushed the photographer over and broke his camera. The photographer filed a complaint, and footage of the altercation was uploaded online. Harrelson's defense was, get this, he thought the photographer was a zombie. Okay, so Harrelson claims that filming Zombieland had just wrapped up when he got on the flight to New York, and he wasn't yet able to detach himself from the method acting he performed in Zombieland, so he was still kind of in character as Tallahassee, a character constantly having to be on guard to defeat zombies, and so he basically wasn't able to let go of his Zombieland persona, where he thought the photographer who approached him was a zombie and that's why he attacked him. There's one part of Harrelson's statement that I just absolutely love, where he says, quote, "I was startled by the paparazzo, who I quite understandably mistook for a zombie." I love how he used the word understandably, like it's a common thing to be stuck in the mind of a movie character and mistake a photographer for a zombie. Like, you know, come on, that is pretty understandable. Oh, Woody Harrelson, never change, mate, never change. Now, just to make it clear, violence is not a joke, and should never be seen as funny. Unless Woody Harrelson is striking out because he believes that he's in Zombieland and a photographer is a zombie. Number 2, failed TV series. Okay, so despite starting off as a failed TV pilot, there were still attempts to bring Zombieland onto the small screen. So a series went into production in 2011 and was to be made by Sony and CBS. That was until Amazon brought the pilot, and Zombieland creators Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick came on board to work on the show's script. Now this pilot must be pretty obscure, as I've never heard of it. I literally didn't even know it existed till now. But the pilot was shown on Amazon Video in 2013, and it got tons of negative backlash, and because of this, a subsequent series wasn't picked up. When addressing the pilot's negative feedback and cancellation, Rhett Reese said, quote, "I'll never understand the vehement hate the pilot received from die-hard Zombieland fans. You guys successfully hated it out of existence." Now, personally, I don't believe in this idea of blaming and shaming fans for failed movies and TV shows. I think it lacks accountability of creating a failed product and thus leaves no nuance for improvement. If you have a good product, people will consume it and be satisfied. Otherwise, they won't. Now, I've never seen the Zombieland pilot, but from the trailer that I saw, I think a huge problem is the characters were recast, which I think is automatically going to make the fans not like the show, as the characters in Zombieland were so beloved and played so well by the cast, making them iconic, and it just feels wrong having these characters played by different actors, automatically making them feel like imposters. I think the series probably would have done better if it focused on entirely new characters, expand on the Zombieland universe. And I don't think the fans wanted to hate the pilot just to be dicks, because everyone loved the theatrical sequel, Zombieland Double Tap, which I think also goes with the theory of recasting the characters automatically set the pilot up for failure. But that's just my observations, who knows, I'm probably wrong. Number 1, highest grossing zombie movie. Zombieland was released in October 2009, and it opened up in the number 1 spot in the box office, and would go on to make over $102 million on a $23 million budget. It became the highest earning zombie movie of its time, till it was beaten by Resident Evil Afterlife and World War Z. Zombieland also got rave reviews, with its humour, witty dialogue, and delightful zombie carnage being praised. Pretty much everyone automatically loved and embraced Zombieland, with it becoming an instant pop cultural phenomenon, as well as being one of the greatest zombie movies of all time, and one of the best horror comedies of all time too. Time magazine even suggested that Zombieland may even be better than Shaun of the Dead, but I kind of feel like the El Paso girl, and say, why not both? During the 2000s, there was definitely an influx of zombie movies, with the zombie craze having a massive comeback with a vengeance. But as the decade came to a close, Zombieland came along to prove that the zombie genre was far from dead and can still feel new, fresh, and inventive. But above all, it's a road trip movie about 4 people coming together who probably wouldn't get along under normal circumstances, where we watch them become a very likeable, close-knit group with plenty of humour along the way, and Bill Murray. Zombieland is a funny and thrilling high-energy romp that is definitely a staple of the horror comedy trope. Seriously, I cannot overstate just how much I love the characters in Zombieland, and seeing how they function and operate off each other is just as interesting, if not a bit more interesting than the zombies. Anyway, I'm Minty, and still to this day, I've never eaten a Twinkie. See ya!